I'm going to go ahead and stain this, and if you look at the original, I'm going to stain from here up, and I'm going to go ahead and stain all the edges and the back. The other thing that I thought about is this back side really needs to have the edges beveled, but you know, I'm going to wait until everything's assembled and then bevel the edges that need to be, because some of them are going to be stacked and I don't want to overcut the bevel into the areas that are going to be stacked, because I wanted a nice clean crisp edge so it almost looks like a solid piece when they're all glued together. So I'm going to hold off on beveling until after it's all assembled. I'm going to put on my gloves here to keep my hands from getting stained. And on this one I'm using a light brown color. This is Echo Flow water stain. I've only used this kind once before, or this particular one. I really don't know how this bottle is supposed to work. I guess you just pour it on. This stain is pretty much dry, but I still have a couple things to do before I can glue it together. I have to sew on this Flint striker pouch, and I've kind of marked where it's going to go here with just a pencil, and I'm going to put some glue down. But the first thing I need to do is cut a groove for the stitching that'll go in here. So I've got my grooving tool out, and I've adjusted it to the right width here. So I'll go ahead and cut a groove. You can see what that looks like. A little groove around the edge, that's where the stitching will go. The other thing I'm going to do is go ahead and mark with this little star wheel. It'll put little indentations for the stitch spacing, so it'll be easier to space them evenly. I don't know if you can see that. It's little dents, so each one of those dents will be a hole where the stitching goes. So the next thing I'm going to do is go ahead and glue this on here, and then I'll drill the holes for the stitching after it's glued on. And I'm going to use some white glue this time. It's almost like Elmer's glue, but it's called Leathercraft Cement. I've used rubber cement in the past, but it's okay for things that are temporary, but it tends to slide a little bit. So I'm going to just take some of this and paint it on and then glue the two pieces together. Okay, got the glue on it, go ahead and put it in place. And once that dries, I'll go ahead and drill the holes and stitch it into place. I moved out here to the shop to drill the holes in this little pouch. Okay, I'll take it back inside now and stitch this up. I'm ready to stitch this little pouch on. I've got some heavy twine here. It's pre-waxed some, but I want to put a little more beeswax on it. Especially at the ends, it helps hold the needles in place. All you have to do is fold the twine over, you don't need to tie it on. Okay, we're ready to start. So I'm going to start at one side. I'm going to put both needles through to even it out. Then I'm going to stitch back and forth. So each needle will go through the same hole in the opposite direction. I like to tighten it after every stitch. Show you what that looks like. I'll go ahead and finish that and then come back. I finished the stitching here, but I still need to tie it off, so I'm going to tie it off on the back here and then melt the ends of the thread. Okay, there's a little pouch. I'm getting ready to glue this on the back here and stitch it in, but the first thing I want to do is go ahead and cut some grooves in here where the stitching is going to go. I've got a line marked at the top here where the top stitch will be. So I'm going to start at that line and go around the perimeter. This isn't absolutely necessary, but it's just nicer to do. I'm going to do a square, but I'm also going to put diagonal lines in here also, or grooves. And I'll use a different grooving tool for that. In fact, this last one here, I'm going to use this freehand groover. Doesn't work quite as well, but it'll work. So I got a groove around the perimeter. I'm going to do 2 diagonals, corner to corner here. And again, I'll use the freehand groover for that. Okay, I've got grooves cut in there. I'm going to go ahead and make a groove around here too. So the first thing to do is to glue this on, then stitch it on, then fold it down, glue it on, and then stitch that down. So I want to go ahead and make a groove around here. That looks about right. Just a little bit wider on the bottom. Okay, and the top one, again, I'll do with the freehand groover. I'm going to draw a line to follow. Not cutting that well. Okay, can you see that groove in there? And then the inside grooves I've cut there. Then I'm going to go ahead and use that little star wheel for the stitching. Pretty difficult to see on those little dents on black, and I'll do the same on the inside here. Okay, I don't know if you can see the little dents in there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece on then. So once this is glued and stitched on, the only thing left to do before this can be glued together is I still need to put the snaps in here, because this will be stitched together and you won't be able to get at it. So I'm going to go ahead and spread some glue on this and apply it.